Recording now.
Coty and Ben Productions welcomes you to the following presentation of the Association Fantasy Football League. Any reproduction or copyright infringement of this program is prohibited.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the live fantasy football draft special from Ruby, Michigan. I'm Commissioner Coty LaVere, and with me is Deputy Commissioner Mr. Ben Wickman. We're glad to have everyone back. Hopefully everyone's excited for another exciting year of fantasy football in the AFFL. Today we're going to talk about a few league updates, some changes to the league. We also are going to go over the new divisions. We did reorganize the divisions this year as we have 3 new managers coming to the league. We'll also go over the very anticipated and exciting draft order lottery later in this telecast. And we'll also have a special guest presenter here, Mr. Matt Oster, last year's Fantasy Football League champion. So with that, Mr. Ben, would you please lead us off with the league updates?
Alright, well, this year, as we all know, will be a keeper league, which means every owner will be able to save 5 players from this year's roster and add them onto their next year's team. Also, I'd like to point out that this year we will have draft day trades, be able to trade picks and players as the draft goes along.
Excellent.
Also this year we will have our draft timer switch from 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to make every selection, to account for the making of trades as they may fall. Also, with next year's draft, the order will begin from the team that finishes last in this year's league to the team that finishes first, and then go on with the snake approach after that.
Excellent. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Ben Wickman. Also, to remind everyone, this is a league pay league, so there are league fees and dues. Last year it was $5. This year, actually, it is going to double in cost, up to a whopping $10 per team or owner. So hopefully everyone saved enough money this year for fantasy football. It's got in the budget. I promise you that it will be going to good funds. This year, a couple changes. We do have a season champ award, which is going to be $25 for the team that takes home the regular season championship. Also for the playoff champ, they also will be receiving $75 for taking home the league championship here. So the stakes are much higher than they've ever been. So hopefully you guys are excited about the changes we've made. As a reminder, we do have the live online draft coming up at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, August 25th, 2012. Also, just a reminder to go through is waivers. There are weekly waivers, which are from Sunday to Tuesday. During that period, no players can be picked up off of the free agent list. Only thing that can be put in is waiver requests, which those are all transacted on the Wednesday following that Sunday through Tuesday. As a reminder, there also is a 2-day waiver when a player is dropped from a team. So if a manager within the league drops a player, there is 2 days that they go on waivers before they can be picked up. Same policy goes for any waiver requests that are put in. The waiver type or waiver request process is a continual rolling list, which means that teams have a priority number, and based on whoever has the highest priority number will receive the waiver request. At that point, they then would be dropped to the bottom of the priority list, and then obviously it continues rolling from that point on. Ben?
All right. Again, this year we will have 3 divisions consisting of 4 teams each. We'll go over the divisions later in today's broadcast. And also, I'd like to remind you the trade deadline is November 16th, 2012. All trades are reviewed by the rest of the league, and to veto a trade, a third of the teams, or 4 of them, must vote against the trade. The trade rejection period is 2 days.
As a reminder, playoffs. Weeks 14, 15, and 16 of the season. So that gives us a 13-week season, so 13 regular season games. 6 teams make the playoffs. The 3 division champs get automatic bids into the playoffs, regardless of the record. If you win your division, you make the playoffs. The next best 3 teams overall with their record will then make the playoffs. Those 3 teams could all come from one division if that division had all the best records after that point. The top 2 division champs do get a bye with the best overall record, do get a bye in week 14, which is the first week of the playoffs. Excellent.
Well, we'll begin today with the Rod Marinelli division. This will consist of the Immortals, coached by Jerry McLaren, the Fumbling Elephants with Matt Oster, MVUU with Phil Vestal, and Restore the Roar with Colin Umbarger.
And with the Steve Mariucci division, probably one of the long-standing divisions and some of the best teams, I think, in this league this year, with some of the best coaches and a couple dynasties within this division. Probably the toughest, I would say. We've got the Egg Rolls with Mr. Coty LaVere, longtime legend and coach and GM. Probably one of the ones with the greatest legacy in the league. Second, we do have the Serial Killers with Joe Giulio. We've got Braves 4-2-1 with Jason Radeveld. And Jerry's Uncle Steve with their team name still to be determined.
Which brings us to the Marty Morningwig division, often referred to as the division of death, as last year they sent 3 out of 4 teams to the playoffs. We have the Fragile Mice, the legendary team coached by Ben Wickman, Brad Stutzman, the Gorts, and the Disabled.
All right, moving on from that. Most anticipated moment of the night. I know everyone's been waiting for this, and thank you for your patience. But now we are to the point for the league draft order lottery. Ben, will you start us out with number 12?
I will do just that. With the 12th selection in this year's draft, we have MVUU.
MVUU coming off an interesting year this year. They had came back from retirement last year. They did make the playoffs. Struggled throughout the season to make the playoffs. Had a couple late pickups with Tim Tebow and a couple other pickup free agents that helped them to get into the playoffs. It's hard to say if they're one of those teams that are going to make the playoffs again. Kind of brushing off the rust last year. Very inconsistent last year, though. What do you think of their chances, Ben?
I see MVUU as one of those teams that could make the playoffs, could not make the playoffs. They're really going to have a couple of games go their way to come over the top this year.
Definitely a bubble team. A lot of close games that they'll have in their schedule, so we'll see if they can come out ahead.
All right.
Excellent. With the 11th pick in the AFFL draft order lottery, we have the Gorts.
The Gorts are a fantastic regular season team. I think everyone recognizes that they're always such a strong team throughout the season. But Coty, I think a lot of people question, can the Gorts get it done in the playoffs?
That's been the age-old question the last 3 years, is can the Gorts get it done in the playoffs? Probably one of the best regular season teams. All the accolades last year, had the highest scoring, the most wins, largest defeats that they beat other teams.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things that the Gorts struggle to make it in the playoffs. They're starting to get that C word, the choker word, labeled around the Gorts. So we'll see if they can do it this year. I'm still not confident they're going to make it out of the first round, personally.
Well, we shall see.
Definitely.
Well, let's take a look at the 10th pick in this year's draft. We have the Immortals.
The Immortals, a team actually this offseason full of lots of changes. This year, Jerry McLaren and formerly Jerry's Uncle Steve, who co-managed that team, decided to split ways. So after a front office that's been in turmoil, we'll see how Jerry McLaren does on his own this year. Last year, struggling, clawing to make it into the playoffs. Unsuccessful last year. We'll see this year on his own. He can do it under his new management and a new name, the Immortals, coming off of Blue Men of Minch last year and Jerry's team number 2 years ago. What do you think, Ben?
Well, we'll have to see if the Immortals live up to their name. It'll be an interesting year for them in the Marinelli division, so we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Excellent. All right, now to pick number 9. With the 9th pick in the AFFL draft order lottery, we have Fumbling Elephants.
Now, most of us will know that the Fumbling Elephants were last year's league champions, had a great playoff run. I don't think a lot of people really saw that coming.
In the preseason, they had to be one of those teams that was going to be projected at the bottom half of the league. Quite honestly, no one, I personally don't think that anyone in their right mind would have said that they were going to make it to the playoffs, let alone win the league championship. So, a huge surprise last year. I think that they got lucky a few times. They won a lot more games than they probably should have. This year, we'll see if they can make it out of the bottom half of the league.
All right, we'll see. Well, let's take a look at pick number 8. With the 8th pick in this year's draft is Restore the Roar.
Restore the Roar, coming to the league, brand new owner and manager, actually was just signed today. It's hard to tell how this new manager is going to cope with the league, and so we'll see. I mean, what do you think, Mr. Deputy Commissioner Ben Wickman, how you think this team is going to manage Restore the Roar?
Well, the owner of Restore the Roar, questionable football knowledge. We'll see if he can put a good team together and actually sustain a playoff run in their first year.
Excellent. All right, on to pick number 7, and the Egg Rolls.
Now, the Egg Rolls are one of those teams, you just don't know what to expect of them. Last year they had a down year, not making the playoffs, and I think everyone agrees that's going to be the trend from here on out. One of those teams that just kind of feeds at the bottom.
I must disagree, Ben. I think the Egg Rolls last year, obviously, their dynamic and historic coach, Mr. Coty LaVere, probably one of the best that we've ever seen. He's a legend in this league. And I think last year, I don't think it was any bad reflection on the owner or the manager of that team, but I think it was unfortunate, the loss of some players underperforming, some injuries to some to some players. I think it was just a lot of bad, unfortunate things that happened last year, and I don't foresee this happening again. If they don't win the championship this year, I'll be very surprised, personally.